everyone, and welcome to today's class. Today we're going to be focusing on the lower back. A lot of us have tension and pain in the lower back. This is a highly requested class as well, and so today we're going to be focusing on completely releasing that pain and tension that we feel back there, and actually focusing a lot on the hamstrings as well, because when your lower body is feeling tense and tight and your hamstrings are very closed up and not getting the stretch they need, that can cause a lot of pressure on the lower back. That's just something to keep in mind. If you ever feel lower back pain, it's probably because your hamstrings need a stretch or just need an opening and a release. So we're going to be focusing a lot on those areas today. When you're ready, we're going to just hop on our mat, get started in a cross-legged seat here, sitting up nice and tall. Roll the shoulders back, grounding through the sit bones, finding a nice tall spine. Bring your hands together in prayer at your heart and close down the eyes and just take this moment to deepen the breath. Becoming one with your practice, letting go of anything that came previously and anything that you may expect to happen later on throughout your day. Letting this practice be your full center of attention right now. Taking deep inhales and longer exhales. And if you'd like to set an intention for your practice today, now is a wonderful time to do so. Whether it's a positive affirmation, maybe completing the phrase I am or I choose. Setting an intention that you can carry with you throughout your day for positivity, something you can come back to when you're feeling overwhelmed. Then when you're ready, softly flutter open the eyes, release the hands on the knees. Take a big inhale, reaching the arms up high above you. And on your exhale, twisting over to your right side, planting the left hand on the right knee and the right fingertips behind you. Take an inhale to really find length before we take the twist. And then on your exhale, sending your gaze behind that right shoulder, twisting deeply. Continuing that breath. And then keeping that left hand where it is, take your right arm and reach it forward over to that opposite side. So reaching to that left side, planting the fingertips on the ground and opening up the back side of the body. Holding here for as long as you need, breathing into it, and then slowly unraveling back to center. Take a big inhale, reach up high. Find length from the sit bones through to the fingertips, and then exhale, planting that right hand on your left knee and the left fingertips behind you. Take another inhale here, finding that length, and then exhale to twist through the core, sending your gaze over your left shoulder. Without forcing or pulling it, really twisting through the core and the upper body. And then keeping your right hand where it is, take your left arm this time and reach it over to that right side across the front of the body and opening up that left side of the back. This is always such a good one whenever I am just waking up for the day and I'm feeling stiff from a long night's sleep or from a day of maybe exhaustion. Stay here for as long as you need to, and then come back up to center. Meet me on hands and knees in a tabletop position. Stacking the shoulders directly over the wrists. The hands are shoulder width apart. Knees are hip width apart directly underneath each hip. Take a deep inhale. Take a deep inhale here, dropping the belly, pressing the hips up towards the sky, rolling the shoulders back and lifting your gaze. And then on your exhale, pulling the belly up and towards the spine, and the spine towards the sky as you press away from the mat, tucking your chin in towards your chest. And then continuing this here, inhale, drop the belly, lift the gaze. Exhale, pull the belly in and up, tucking everything into the C shape, and then keep this going and see if you can find a wave between the two. So maybe taking your knees out a little bit further, and instead of taking a regular cow, maybe dropping your pelvis entirely down to the mat for an upward facing dog, and then pulling your hips back towards your heels as you roll forward into that cat. And continuing this breath, so inhaling on your upward facing dog, and exhaling as you wave through your cat. And then finding that marriage between the breath and the body. Taking really slow waves here. Inhaling in your upward facing dog. Pulling it back and exhaling as you find your cat. And just keep this going very gently. Just a couple more times. And you're always welcome to stray from this regular movement and maybe go a little side to side, or just stick with the regular cat and cow. Maybe rocking the hips back and forth. And then when you're ready, tuck the toes, claw through the fingertips, and press your hips up and back to your downward facing dog. Pedaling out the feet, maybe stretching one leg and then the other. Continuing to breathe, and then walk those feet to meet your hands at the top of your mat and fold forward against your thighs. You can keep a very generous bend in the knees here. This will allow for the lower back to completely release and let go. Continuing to breathe. Maybe swaying a little side to side. You're also welcome to plant the hands and straighten out one leg and then the other. Opening up the back of the legs to fully let go in the upper body. And then keeping the feet about hip width apart, send your left leg back behind you into a pyramid shape, keeping that hip width distance between the feet, squaring the hips forward as well as both toes. And then folding into that right leg here. You can keep a bend in your right knee if this is a bit too intense for you. You're also welcome to hold on to some blocks to just lessen the stretch. Maybe finding a little wiggles here, just opening up that right hamstring. Maybe coming up onto those left toes and then sinking that heel deeper against the mat. Continuing to square off your hips here. And then walk your hands through to the long edge of your mat and turn your toes on both feet to that long edge. And then folding forward, grabbing onto the ankles or shins. Maybe even grabbing onto the thighs if you don't feel comfortable going down as low. You're also welcome to hold on to that block here. Kind of just swaying side to side and finding where that sweet spot feels the best in your hamstrings, and completely letting the head hang heavy, letting go in the lower back. You're also welcome to keep a soft bend in the knees. And then slowly rolling up. Your head is the very last thing to straighten out as you come to stand, keeping that wide distance. And then turn your left toes to point that short edge of the mat, keeping your right toes pointing towards the long edge of the mat. Take your arms out to a T, reaching up high, and then back out to that T. Extend those left fingertips forward, reaching that upper body towards the side of the room. And then maybe dropping those left fingertips to the mat or to your ankle as you extend that right arm up high. breathing into it. If you need to widen your stance a little bit, you're welcome to do so. Fully letting go. This is such a good lower back stretch. And then take that right hand, walk it forward, and come to a forward fold. So we're now on the opposite side of the mat, and we're going to continue that little section on the other side. So finding your fold, bending deeply into the knees, completely letting go in the lower back. Continue that deep breath. And then keeping a hip width distance between the feet, send the right toes back far behind you into that pyramid shape. Both toes pointing towards the short edge of the mat as well as the hips, squaring the hips forward. You're either up on your fingertips or on a block, or maybe folding completely towards that left thigh if that feels good for you. Always going where you feel the most comfortable without overdoing it. It's always better to take soft and easy movements than to force yourself. And I want you to imagine here that you're pulling your left hip behind you and your right hip forward to really square off the hips and feel the stretch behind that left leg. This is going to help really release any pain in your back. Then maybe rocking that right foot forward and dropping the heel heavy. Turn the toes towards the long edge of the mat. Come back to that wide-legged forward fold. Grab hold of your block or your ankles or thighs and softly release forward. Keeping a bend if that's what you feel most comfortable with. Swaying a little side to side. If you'd like, you can even take a soft squat here, bending into the knees and straightening back out. Nothing too forceful, keeping the knees and the toes in the same direction. Slowly rolling up one vertebrae at a time, stacking the bones. Your head is the very last to roll up to come to stand. Keeping your left foot exactly as it is. Point those right toes and the knee to face that short edge of the mat on your right side. Take your arms out to that T, maybe widening your stance just a bit. And then inhale, reaching the arms up high. Exhale, come back to that T, tilting the upper body forward towards that right side, really reaching, and then letting go. Dropping those right fingertips to the block, your ankle, or the floor, and really reaching in opposite directions with that left hand up high to the sky. And take this moment to just observe any areas where you feel resistance and send the breath there. Always coming back to that intention that you set at the start of class to help you get through any difficult movements. Sending your gaze over those fingertips, take another breath. And then softly release that left hand down to the mat. Turn those left toes forward and step back into that downward facing dog. Pedal out the feet, claw through the fingertips. And then drop the knees to the mat. Open them as wide as your mat and send the hips back onto your heels for a breath. Reaching the fingertips as far forward as you can as you pull the hips back towards your heels, as you melt the chest towards the earth. Completely letting go here. Seeing if you can stretch your back to its longest point with every breath. And then softly walk your hands over to your right side. Stack your left palm on top of your right and sink deeply into that left hip. Opening up the left side of the body. Breathing into it. And then gently walk your hands through center and over to your left side, stacking your right hand on top of your left and sinking deeply, really letting your right hip hang heavy against the heels. to really open up that right side. Continue to send the breath wherever you feel tension or tightness. And then coming back through center, come up onto a tabletop position and swing the legs forward to come to lie down on your back. Rolling down slowly, and then hug the knees into the chest. And then taking a reclined pigeon pose, take your right ankle on top of your left thigh, pressing that right knee open, and then grab hold of the back of your left thigh and pull the knees in towards you. See if you can maintain a heavy tailbone against the mat here. Opening up the hips and hamstrings, keeping the lower back nailed against the mat. And then slowly release and unravel, switching sides. Your left ankle comes on top of your right thigh, opening up to that 90-degree angle with the left leg, and then pulling the thighs in towards you. Grabbing hold of that right thigh, and dropping the tailbone heavy against the earth. And then softly release. Hug the knees in, extend your left leg out long, and roll onto that left hip as you send your right knee over to your left side. You can take your arms out to a T and either gaze over your left hand, maybe towards the ceiling, or if you'd like to go a bit deeper, gazing towards your right side. Finding length with every inhale, and deepening this twist with every exhale. And then slowly bringing it back through center. Switching legs. Extend that right leg out long, pull the left knee in towards your chest, and then send it over to your right side as you roll onto that right hip. Keeping your gaze wherever you feel comfortable, and maybe taking the gaze over the left fingertips if you'd like to take the twist a bit deeper. Breathing through the twist, completely decongesting through the upper body. Slowly come back to center. Hug those knees into your chest one last time. Cross the feet and grab hold of the back of your thighs, maybe rocking forward and back just a few times until you find your way up to a seat. Come back to that cross-legged position we started in. Sitting up nice and tall, take a big inhale, roll the shoulders back. Close down the eyes, take your hands to prayer at your heart, and come back to that intention that you chose for your practice. Letting it fully absorb you with every breath. It is so beautiful to move your body, even if it's just for 10 or 15 minutes. Any practice, however short or long, heated or soft, anything is worth it, and it's going to make you feel so much better than if you hadn't moved at all. And so I hope that you feel free to come back to this class whenever you need that lower back release or just easy feel-good movement. And thank you so much for coming to my class today. I hope to see you again soon on the mat. Namaste.